Hi guys, how's it going? Ivano here, and after Broadsword announced the recent class balance changes, which included nerfs to the superheated fuel tactical, I jumped on the PTS to test out how bad they really are. And in case you haven't seen it, here are the changes to the tactical. So no more 100% crit chance, instead we now get 25 and an additional 25% critical damage. Okay, this is me on the PTS the other day hitting the training dummy. I was using the standard PvP build for Pyro and the same gear and opener which I explained in my Pyro guide. So check that out if you haven't seen it yet. But basically I'm putting all the dots on the target and then I pop fuel just before Immolate, because Immolate is your hardest hitting ability and it has a 14-second cooldown. So doing it this way, you can get 2 Immolates in the 15-second burst window. I did this 3 times on the live server on patch 7.3.1 as well as 3 times on the PTS, and then jumped into Parsley to compare the results. And here they are. So first I looked at the DPS during the Pyro burst phase and I got an average of 37,752. Next I looked at the average Immolate crit, simply because Immolate is your hardest hitter on Pyro. So I wanted to know by how much your single button burst has been nerfed. And here I got an average crit of a little bit more than 65k. Next we look at the results from the PTS. And here I got an average DPS of 33,594 and an average crit of 56k. Now if we compare the two, the DPS during the burst phase dropped by 11%, whereas the biggest hit dropped by 13.6%. Overall, that is less than I expected initially, when it looked like the power of the tactical was nerfed by about 50%. But of course, you still have your base damage, passive damage buffs from the combat style tree, and all of those were not affected by the nerfs, so I guess it makes sense. You can still expect to crit 70 to 80% of your attacks with the new nerfed superheated fuel, whereas previously, of course, it was 100%. And even though Pyro will certainly feel a little bit weaker after these nerfs, in my opinion, it will be still a strong spec for PvP because of its great survivability and CC. Keep in mind that the DPS numbers I showed include the initial application of the dots before fuel is popped. And also I did this on Rishi and I used the Warzone training dummy. So if you're going to test this yourself, keep in mind that your numbers might be slightly higher or lower depending on how exactly you test. That's it for today, guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.